Dear viewers, welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. Human trafficking on the rise in the Republic of Cameroon. Civil society leaders, activists, and right defenders are striving to turn the tide. Statistics show that about 1,000 Cameroonians are trapped and detained in Mali, in particular by traffickers who are threatening to deport them to other countries. We'll also take a look at what civil and military actions being undertaken by some top military officials in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon, hit by security tensions for more than 5 years today. What civil and military activities can do to restore peace, to restore trust between the population and soldiers. The relationship between the two has been tense for more than 5 years today, full of uncertainty and of course distrust because of the prevailing situation going on there, with several atrocities attributed to the security and defense forces. Stay with us. Several ills on the rise in Cameroon's society today. One of them, human trafficking, has been on the rise for some years now, and statistics from right organizations indicate that there are about 1,000 Cameroonians who are trapped in Mali, detained by traffickers who are threatening to deport them to other countries. And to turn the tide, to fight against these ills, civil society organizations and of course journalists and lawyers are coming together to put their hands on the plow to fight against this ill. This is the purpose of a workshop that took place in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, organized by the Peace Arm of the Kumbu Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Now, for greater details, we bring into you an extract of some two officials who were involved in that activity and were involved in the fight against human trafficking. Louisa Songwe is an international criminal law an investigator, an international criminal law expert, and an investigator. And Lukong Isido Njozinui is assistant coordinator of the Kumbu Diocese Justice and Peace Commission. Take a listen to them.
A seminar like this on human trafficking is very important because the human trafficking in Cameroon is very alarming. And if I have to take the recent case of Mali, we have almost 1,000 Cameroonians in Mali, and those are a result of human trafficking. So a seminar like this brings about awareness in terms of what exactly are the ills of human trafficking. How do we go about combating them? Especially in terms of, here we're talking about journalists and lawyers. What exactly is their role in terms of the fight against human trafficking? What's the added value of journalists? The sensitization, the bringing about to what is going on, and also exposing it. That's one way of deterring. Lawyers also do sensitization. They are the ones that analyze the laws of human trafficking, and they are the ones that bring the perpetrators to justice. In that way, we are deterring human trafficking. So when the lawyers and the journalists know the role they play, it's also an added value and a complementary action to fighting against human trafficking. That's why a seminar like this is very important.
Is human trafficking really a problem in Cameroon?
Human trafficking is a big problem.
Right, that was Louisa Songwe, international criminal law expert and investigator, speaking there. And of course, we equally talk to Lukong Isidore, who is the Assistant Coordinator of the Kumbu Diocese Justice and Peace Commission, and both of them are highlighting the serious problem of human trafficking that's growing in the Republic of Cameroon, with devastating and sometimes irreversible consequences on human lives and those who are trapped in the network of human traffickers. Take a listen.
In Cameroon is very alarming. And if I have to take the recent case of Mali, we have almost 1,000 Cameroonians in Mali, and those are a result of human trafficking. Human trafficking is a big problem in Cameroon. Why? Because when we start talking about human trafficking, we ask what exactly causes human trafficking. We say poverty. We talk about the economic situation. We talk about the political situation and the crisis. We know in the north of Cameroon, we have the Boko Haram issue. In the northwest and the southwest, we have the Anglophone problem. In the east also, we also have the refugee situation. All these are people that are vulnerable to being trafficked. Also, we talk about the economic situation of the country. A country like Cameroon, where the economic situation is really poor, where people do not have the basic necessities, they are forced now, and they are basically prone to be trafficked, especially forced labor, especially sexual exploitation and debt bondage. So Cameroon basically is prone to human trafficking, and a lot of it is going on now based on the situation of the country.
We can lay credence to statistics when we had the Kuwait saga in 2015. That's precisely we of the Justice and Peace Commission of the Diocese of Kumbu. We did a survey, we did investigation, and we had about 170 girls that were moved from Kumbu Diocese to the Middle East. And now with the current crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions, it has increased because we have caregivers who have been killed. We also have people that houses have been burnt. We have so many displaced people. And now the protective environment, which is about the family, is no longer there. Families are separated, and the vulnerability has increased in the sense that we have children, we have parents now who don't even know what to do with their children. So the easiest way for them is to give out the children. So that's why when you get to Yaoundé, you get to Douala, you get to big towns around, you see so many Anglophone children on the streets. You find some of them as domestic workers. You find some of them in sex prostitution, simply because of this crisis. The protected environment is not more there. But this one now is difficult for us presently to have statistics on that. But we are still working on that. And that is one of the reasons why we thought that if we bring in all the stakeholders in the fight against human trafficking, we could be able to have a centralized data system base where we can actually put a hand to know how many children have been trafficked or how many persons have been trafficked in Cameroon.
And journalists and lawyers have a very important and cardinal role to play in the fight against human trafficking within the national territory and across the national borders. And this is why these persons, these professionals were brought together in the seminar organized by the Justice and Peace Commission of the Kumbu Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church. They were brought together to be equipped, to be given tools to enhance their contribution in the fight against these ills in the Cameroonian society, human trafficking and other things that go with the illegal practice. Now, for greater details, once more, take a listen to Louisa Songo, international criminal law expert and investigator, and Lukong Isidore, assistant coordinator, Kumbu Diocese Justice, Kumbu Diocese Justice Peace Commission.
On human trafficking in Cameroon today with lawyers and the media men is because for the past years we have witnessed that this issue of human trafficking is increasing in Cameroon, and it is very important that all the people involved in the fight should be brought together so that in synergy they can work towards eradicating this problem in Cameroon. That's why we thought that it's important for us to bring in the lawyers, to bring in the media personnel who can, because there are two aspects to it. We have prevention, we have protection, and then we have prosecution. So when it comes to prosecution, the lawyers, they have a great role to play. And from our past reports, we have seen that there's a lot of gaps. There are lots of gaps when it comes to prosecution. And the reason for these gaps is that the law on human trafficking is not even popular amongst the lawyers. So if the law is not popular amongst the lawyers, there's a problem of prosecution. If you compare this, the law on human trafficking, the 2011 law, and the 1994 law on wildlife, you see that that law is more, people are more aware of that law, simply because the media has taken up the responsibility to sensitize or to create awareness on this law. Once a trafficker is caught, you get the media attention to it. We want that same attention to be given to these issues of human trafficking. So we find that the media has a very, very big role to play, because at the level of the communities, they need to understand. At the level of the state authorities, they need to really understand that this is, and also at the level of the lawyers themselves and the judges, it is important that they play that role. And then for the lawyers, it is important that we go further to prosecute, because prosecuting victims or perpetrators is one of the deterrent effects.
Our expectation is that we should create enough awareness to the lawyers and the journalists. The lawyers and the journalists play a big role. The journalists, I'll start with the journalists. Things like this, when we air programs like this, when we talk about the ills of human trafficking, when we talk about the fact that it is real, it is happening, when we create awareness on human trafficking, it makes people begin to think about, if these violations are going on, how do we stop them? Now the lawyers also, the awareness in terms of what are the laws, do we have sufficient laws to now fight against human trafficking? The laws are in existence. Are we using them in our courts to fight against human trafficking? Are we sensitizing the population to know their rights, to know who are the victims and who are the perpetrators? Because the perpetrators of human trafficking are among us. When we talk about forced labor, we talk about child labor, we talk about sexual exploitation. We are not going far to look at it. We are looking at sometimes even ourselves, when we take children from the village that are underage and they come and put them under hard labor. We have the cocoa plantations there where we have children. And when we also have all the internally displaced in different regions, working for little or nothing, or sexual exploitation of this, or you have children or even people used as dead bonds, it's human trafficking. So when everybody knows exactly what human trafficking entails and what exactly the law and the punishment of human trafficking is, it goes a step further to the fight against human trafficking.
Lukong Isidore, Deputy Coordinator of the Justice and Peace Commission of the Kumbu Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church, and Luisa Songo, International Criminal Law Expert and Investigator, speaking there, and you heard them highlighting the consequences of the 5-year-long armed conflict on the human trafficking ill in the Cameroonian society today, with many persons who have been displaced, forced out of their homes in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and are now seeking refuge in deplorable and vulnerable conditions in different parts of the country and exposed to human traffickers. And it is within this context that government and other stakeholders have been striving to restore peace and normalcy, and also to restore trust between the military and the population. And in this perspective, the military has been carrying out civil or military activities in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country in crisis. Today, in the northwest region of the country, General Cavale has been in different parts of the region, taking action to the people, taking aid to the people, speaking to the people, striving to re-establish and establish or enhance the trust that existed before between the military and the population in view of restoring peace and normalcy in those 2 regions. Bustela reports.
people in the rural areas of Cameroon have less or no access to modern health care compared to those in the urban areas. They are limited either by the lack of finances, the bad state of the roads, the ill-equipped medical facilities in those areas, or these three put together. Joseph Tang now resides in Bufmen. He had an accident about 7 years ago and is still in search for proper treatment. His ability to get proper medical care is now limited by the lack of resources.
J'ai vendu même tout ce que j'avais. Je ne peux pas aller à l'hôpital puisque je n'ai pas l'argent. Mon pied est calé comme ça là. La pauvre maman ici là, ma femme là-bas.
Joseph is among the over 500 inhabitants consulted within 3 days by a team of military doctors deployed to the Bafman Integrated Health Center by the Military High Command in what is known as the Civil Military Cooperation, aimed at strengthening the relationship between the soldiers and the civilian population. Dr. Fozo Liu, Chief Medical Officer of the Bafman Integrated Health Center, applauds the military for offering free medical aid to the population, even as a number of challenges continue to overstretch the limits of the health facility.
Electricity supply is not very constant, therefore carrying out our duties, our day-to-day activities is sometimes difficult. More often than not, you receive patients who come who are really sick, who need that health care, but they lack the financial means to pay for the health care that you deliver. So it becomes very difficult because you have to manage both the economics of the facility to keep it running, but at the same time deliver the health care to those needy old people who need your help.
In March 2021, a lady was referred from the Bafman Integrated Health Center to Njinicum, but she lost her triplets in search for proper health care. The health facility is powered by a generator for most of the time. Some processes at the level of the laboratory are still manually carried out. Bafman is one of the 26 villages that make up Fungom subdivision with a population of about 148,000, according to the mayor of Zwa. These populations demonstrated their gratitude with special songs to Brigadier General Cavalier while he visited, but are questioning the whereabouts of the politicians who surface during elections with promises of good health, good roads, and the list is long, but as soon as they get their votes, they disappear and only resurface when the next elections are announced.
And the Anglophone crisis has hindered and slowed down development in several parts of the two English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon, where underdevelopment challenges are making life quite difficult for the inhabitants. One of those localities badly affected by this situation is Ibemi Bakundu, a locality in the Konye subdivision in the Beme division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Details with Smanjik and Gebre.
Frustrated parents worried about their children's inability to go to school. They are denouncing government's slow pace in meeting up with the demands of the striking teachers. Due to the situation, a good number of children are seen loitering around while a few of them struggle to gain knowledge. To prepare my exams, I pick up textbooks from each subject, make my notes and study. It's been over 4 weeks that these government teachers in the city of Douala stopped teaching, a situation which has greatly affected parents who struggle daily to ensure their children get educated. The present situation is really annoying. We have children at home who keep complaining on how they will face the exams. I am now in the market while they are at home. I don't know what they are doing right now, whereas while in school they are being controlled by the teachers. According to a mother, she still provides for his son, a teacher. She is here to enjoy the benefits of parenthood. My son is a teacher. Since he started working, he has not received any payment. He is married and a father. I managed to provide for myself and his family. The term and consequently the academic year might end up with bad results for some children, while the parents' efforts end fruitless.
Malaglory reporting there on the impact of the strike action of government teachers across the Republic of Cameroon on academic activities and notably the performance of students, especially those in examination or official examination classes who are worried about their fate, worried about a possible blank year. And now we go back to Ibemi Bakundu in the Konye subdivision, Meme division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where Smart Jigan Gabriel paints the ugly picture of underdevelopment in that part of the country. His report.
Traveling to Ibemi Bakundu in Konye subdivision of Meme division is a difficult one for the road users. The state of the road has been like this for the past 15 years.
Since over almost a time,
we barely struggle before we transport our agri-produce from the village to the town. This road has been our major preoccupation. The last time we saw a bulldozer here was about 15 years ago, and since then, the road has been abandoned.
We transport plenty, we buy and sell, they come buy all this and our bike. We transport cocoa. Now buying now this past year, we lost we try to enter this area and move cocoa.
The people of Ibemi Bakundu are mostly farmers, and with the state of the road, it's very tough for them to transport their farm products to the main town. Apart from the road problem, the population of Ibemi Bakundu are passing through difficult times.
We are gathered here because of so many challenges that we are facing. We have the challenges of farm, no roads, poor roads infrastructure, no farm to market roads. We have the challenges of electricity. We have the challenges of even a warehouse for us to keep our goods. A market and our hospital, we have a health center which is yet not developed. We are still searching for doctors and nurses. And so health issue is there, that sometimes on crucial illnesses, our people are carried to Manyemen or to Kumba.
The lack of social amenities and the negative impact of the Anglophone crisis forced the chief of the village to gather the sons and daughters of Ibemi Bakundu to think on how to develop the village.
The past 6 years, Ibemi was down, and I decided to bring together the elites and the entire community together to see how we can carry out our various development while waiting for the conflict in southwest and northwest to come to normalcy.
The gathering was an opportunity for Chief Ite Joseph to also call for government assistance in the realization of their developmental plans.
A group of young people who took part in the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, notably in the security part of the continental competition at the Japoma Sports Complex here in Douala, on strike, protesting in the nation's economic capital in front of the office of the governor of the Littoral region in Bonanjo, demanding for their pay. The AFCON came and went away without leaving them with their pay. And they went protesting, pressing on the administration to do something about this. Innocent Azi.
Nous sommes comme ça devant les services du gouverneur.
Tear gas blanquets the Littoral Governor's office.
On ne fait que revendiquer nos dûs.
This was to disperse protesters, Cameroonians who came from far and near to serve as stadium guards at the Japoma Stadium during the AFCON Cameroon 2021. We ensured the security of all at the Japoma Stadium whenever there is a match or matches from 6 January to 6 February. Promises to pay our remunerations have yielded no fruits.
Nous avons dit que nous allons contribuer au bon fonctionnement de cette CAN. Mais rémunérez-nous.
These disgruntled Cameroonians say they traveled from far-off places to work after undergoing months of formation before being selected and convinced not to worry about the pay package, for they will be handsomely paid at the end of the competition.
Vraiment, je suis déçu.
I am really disappointed. Before start of a match at 5 p.m., we must be present at 6 a.m. We also cover the second match and will leave the stadium around midnight or 1 a.m. with only bread and water in our stomach, coupled with the insecurity on our way home. we are given 4,000 francs as transport fare.
Moi particulièrement, j'ai été agressée.
I traveled all the way from Zibombari to Japoma. Coupled with the traffic jam, I had to be at Japoma before 6 a.m. According to them, they were to be remunerated before the AFCON Cameroon final.
Jusqu'ici, nous avons usé de patience. On a passé le temps à dire patienter, patienter, patienter. Nous avons patienté.
After patiently waiting for this pay in vain, they decided to storm the Fecafoot head office in Yaoundé on Monday. There, they were told their money had already been disbursed, reason why they returned to Douala to protest peacefully in front of the governor's office. We only wanted to meet the governor as his children to tell us what we need to know and do, but security elements fired tear gas canisters at us.
Moi particulièrement, moi je veux mon argent. J'ai des choses à faire avec, très important à faire.
These frustrated youths who gave in all their best for the AFCON to be an enjoyable and memorable one plead with the powers that be to enable payments of their money in order to run their affairs.
On veut notre argent de la canne, c'est 500 000 par personne. Trop c'est trop, nous sommes 500 stadiers. Trop c'est trop.
Inasenaze reporting there, and heads of states of the Central African Economic and Monetary Community CEMAC sub-region urged to brave challenges and threats and unite in a bid to quicken the move towards emergence and, of course, economic integration in particular. And they were meeting during the 13th edition of the CEMAC Conference of Heads of State, and these issues were on the discussion table, as Immaculate Fogwe reports.
Highlights a number of issues ranging from insecurity, health, economic and financial crisis currently plaguing the CEMAC member countries. In the domain of health, the president of the CEMAC Heads of State acknowledges the fact that the economy has been stalled by the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. He urges heads of CEMAC member countries to fight against the pandemic through the strict implementation of sanitary measures, while reiterating the importance of vaccination, which can help them achieve the desired herd immunity. The slow pace of economic recovery in CEMAC zone and threats looming over purchasing power was reiterated in the course of the conference. This has been blamed on the sluggish implementation of economic and social recovery measures in the sub-region. He urges his counterparts to fast-track the implementation of the structural reforms contained in the regional economic and financial reform programs in order to ensure economic buoyancy, thus meeting the emergence challenge. He went ahead to emphasize on the need of promoting industrialization in order to facilitate the movement of people and goods while improving conditions for a competitive economy, which will better guarantee the transformation of economies towards industrialization and equally spur the creation of jobs for youths. The 13th edition of the CEMAC conference has as theme strengthening trade between CEMAC countries for strong, sustainable, inclusive and employment-generating post-COVID recovery at the dawn of a sub-regional industrialization vision.
Immaculate Fogwe reporting there, and that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Joining us in today's edition of Talking Points, Barrister Tamfu Richard, human rights advocate and peace crusader, and member of the Cameroon and Nigerian Bar Associations, Reverend Dr. B. Christian and civil society leader. Thank you for joining us today, sirs. I begin with you, Barrister Tamfu Richard. What do you think about the civil-military activities, the civil-military actions undertaken by top military officials in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon? We've constantly been seeing General Cavalier, commander of the 5th Military Region, and the other commanders of the 2nd Military and Gendarmerie regions in the southwest region of the country on the ground, meeting with the population, talking with the population, bringing some aid, medical and food aid to the people. can these actions help to restore peace, help to restore and establish the trust that existed between the population of those two crisis-stricken regions and the military before the outbreak of the crisis late 2016?
Yes, what you should notice is that the actions of the military, first of all, is a salutary action because it is in line, I think, with the social functions of a republican military. The civil population should be able to feel safe or feel that they are confident and in good protections in the hands of the security. So I think that those kind of actions should be encouraged and salutary. Now, the population too needs to be able to give vital information to the army so that in the protections of their lives and property, which is a very fundamental duty of our security officers to protect the persons and their property, that they also have some information that will ease them in carrying out their activity. Going on as far as maybe posing social actions or maybe bringing their expertise in the health domain, because at the military too, they have a very sophisticated health department where you have military personnel who are trained doctors, nurses, and all the like. So if they are bringing such aid to the population, I think these are the kind of things we expect to see in a Republican army. It should not only be there to repress its population or fight against its population. It should also bring some social amenities to the population. So now the question as to knowing whether this kind of action is going to bring the peace that we are all asking for, well, I think that question should be more directed to the person who is at the head of command, the chief of the armed forces, whether at their level, do they have those powers of decision? Because I think that those powers of decision rest on the hands of the President of the Republic. So if he has sent them to see how to restore peace, I think the best way will not be to shoot, will be to silence the gun. And that is all what I think any normal, reasonable person can be thinking of. We have had a lot of fighting, enough of fighting already. And it's high time that the guns should be silent from the military or from the separatists, and they should put the interests of the civil society at first. That should be the preoccupation. Citizens should feel safe at home. Citizens should feel that they are protected by the military. And if they are doing that, we are hoping that peace can return. So it should be encouraged. It's a salutary action that, to me, I think should be encouraged.
A clergyman, what do you read within the lines of these kind of actions undertaken by top military officials touch the population, getting closer and more friendly with the population?
Good evening, Mr. Babala, and welcome to the program. I just want to say that what the action of the military men, to take medication and every aid to the population is a good move. But if you look at the devastation situation on the ground, I believe that might not help the population. For example, I just left a dam just 2 days ago, and I've been Kwakwa. So if you look at the area that have been badly affected, like Kwakwa is, for example, no one house has been built by the government to show their remorse of the action of that the military did in Kwakwa by burning the houses. So if the government wants to bring peace, I believe that they must start first at the level of constructing, giving the civil society and the people the basic needs that they need, like lights, water, shelter. Those are very important things that they want from the government. Because military going back with aid is not even, making the problem friendly to the military.
Is it not helping to bring down some kind of tensions and establish a more cordial relationship that can help. We heard the governor of the Southwest region, we've heard him several times telling the people you need to collaborate with security and defense forces in the fight against secessionist activities and violence in those two regions. Can it help to, in this perspective of collaboration between the population and the military in the quest for solutions, peace and stability in those two regions?
Say Babylon, I believe that the action of the military might not be the solution. Why am I saying so? Because I believe that in any action like this war was declared from Yaoundé, and they have gone down to the field and have got a lot of destruction on the field. Now, I believe that this is a time for the parliament to sit and address the issue from the level of the parliament, and not by just military going down on the field. The parliament has to sit, vote a bills, how to reconstruct Norway and Southwest back, and then that bill should go in action and make sure that the state auditors and people on the field that will make sure that that money is being used judiciously, and the right people have the what it takes, or the hopes are being bailed back by the government. If that is not happen, I don't think that peace will come. I don't think that peace will come.
Thankful, Richard. We saw in the images when General Carvalho visited the Menchum division, we saw women dancing, receiving him with joy, and the population and so on. What are the signs that we can read in those demonstrations of, a warm welcome by the women in particular and other members of the communities that he visited?
As Mr. Babila, peace has no price. I think when whosoever is looking for avenues of peace, I think that kind of person should be welcome. You see, this crisis has made people in those two regions to suffer a lot, and any peaceful avenue should be welcome. I think what I get by seeing those images is that people are happy that at least the military is not coming this time around to burn down houses or to shoot people. That they are coming this time around maybe to bring some assistance, some social assistance to the population, and that is why they are happy. So this is what we should be expecting from a Republican army. The Republican army should not be the one that is violating the citizens' rights. No, people should instead have confidence in trusting the army. When you see an army or a security officials, you should be happy knowing that, okay, you are safe at this moment. So I think what I got is that they are happy that at least the military is coming this time around, not to shoot at them or to burn down their houses, that they is coming with a peaceful mission and trying to build in a confidence or trust between the military and the population. So we should instead be seeing how we concentrate more avenues on how to see how we restore the long-lasting peace that we are all clamoring for.
Take on the point or the fact that these civil military activities are going on, and at the same time other kind of repressive actions are going on. Soldiers tracking down separatist fighters or armed civilians, killing them, exposing or presenting their mortal remains on the streets of Kumba here and there, on the streets of Bamenda, and so on. What do you think about these two activities going on parallelly and going on at the same time with some kind of contradiction in terms of the outcome? The other one is coming with peace, with a peace plan, an olive branch, and the other one is coming with a repressive arm to kill.
The first time we are witnessing this kind of attitudes. We even saw one time where we had the prime minister on the field who was preaching peace, and at the same time one of his ministers in another region maybe preaching that they should continue the fight. So I think that we should not be mixing up things here. The person who has the powers recognized constitutionally is the president of the Republic of Cameroon, who is at the same time the head of the armed forces. So if, for example, the president, who is the head of the armed forces, is going to preach peace, is going to show that no, at this time, he's not more fighting. I think that should be done in all sincerity. You should not be preaching peace in the morning and then in the night you are fighting. Then it means that he himself is not being honest with themselves. And that's why we continue to live this kind of contradiction, that you preach peace in the morning and then in the evening you preach destruction or war. So I think that we should be sincere if actually we really want to put an end to what is ongoing in those regions. So it's really a paradox. It's really a confusing situation if we have to be playing on both sides. So it's not helping the situation, or it's not showing good faith on the side of the government, who is now like trying to see, okay, we are bringing you medical assistance, whereas maybe when in some other days their properties will be burnt and maybe people will have to lose their lives. So I think we should be frank in the game, and if we are all sincere in the game, I think we'll be able to find or have good solutions to this crisis.
With the permission of the news director, Reverend Bay Christian, this is going on, and at the same time, at least 8 persons are killed in Nwa by armed Fulani militias.
Yes, Mr. Babala. Some of the problem that we have is that the government is like, we call it a two-headed snake. With peace, and at the same time, now in the course of this crisis, we see how the military collided in Wum with the Fulanis, to attack the population, and that have not stopped. Even in Kumbo, we see something like that, and now people are still putting hands in the front of people that died to that the connection with the military, build up as they used to do. So these are some things that we want to talk peace. We should not be talking peace when people are still dying, when people are still psychologically traumatized, when people are still putting the population under mental slavery. People are working under, please,
Mr. Tamfu Richard, we are rounding up with you. Human trafficking on the rise in the Republic of Cameroon. What are the legal implications of these illegal activities?
The trafficking of human persons or slavery is severely punished by the Cameroon Penal Code. When you looked at the provisions of articles of sections 342, 1 of the Cameroon Penal Code, it says that whosoever engages, maybe occasionally or as a permanent activity in such practices, that is trafficking of humans or slavery, stands to have an imprisonment term going from 10 years to 20 years imprisonment. This is a very serious felony as far as the punishment of that felony is concerned in the Cameroon Penal Code. So the Cameroon Penal Code is very strict on it, and it has even given instances whereby if the person who is victim of such trafficking or slavery is a minor of 15 years, or even if the person maybe was living with somebody, or if the act is even committed maybe by using force, or is being committed by an organized gang of groups of criminals, I think it's a very severe felony that's punishable in the Cameroon Penal Code. So the law is very clear on it, and it's really very severe. So I think it's high time that people should know that if you are found guilty under those provisions, then know that you stand to pay the heavy price of justice.
Human rights advocate, peace crusader, Reverend Dr. Bay Christian and civil society leader, a clergyman. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today. And this is where we draw the curtains on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you for your time. Equinoxe will be coming up in a short while. Stay with us.